Hey guys and gals, so first a quick update on my channel. So after reading up on YouTube growth, it became pretty apparent that my videos covering the men are actually hindering the trajectory of the channel since nobody is watching them. And it's a pretty easy decision to stop doing them entirely, as the videos covering the women are literally receiving hundreds of times the amount of views. So going forward, I'm going to exclusively cover the female competitors. I'm hoping this will free up enough room for me to begin learning the bikini and wellness landscape enough to incorporate them into my channel as well. Now moving on to today's video. This is going to be my first one covering the 2021 IFBB season, and I figured that I'd start it off by covering the year's rookie class. So what I did here is pick competitors that received their pro card last year that haven't yet stepped on a pro stage. And these are all people that I can see making an immediate impact. There aren't any guarantees they'll compete, but regardless, I think they're all at a point where they can mix things up and do some damage. So we're going to kick things off with my figure selections. And at first glance, this person's name looks like Fit to Vesher on Instagram when you skim it, but when you actually stop and break it down, it forms Fittest Ash Ever. And their full name is Ashley Lakamowski. You don't even have to look at her body to know she has good genetics for this sport. Her small cheekbones convey that she has those small joints that all competitors envy. Now, I'm not sure how well she's going to compare with the elites of figure, but I'm pretty certain her quads will hang with the best of them. They could even put some of the girls in the bigger divisions to shame. In fact, if she struggles, which I don't see, she could probably do well in any division that she chooses. So she turned pro last year by winning the figure overall at NPC Nationals. She has a relatively large Instagram following at almost 200,000. I couldn't find any plans for this year, but it seems that the figure girls stay lean enough year round that planning 16 weeks ahead of time isn't necessary for them. My second figure selection goes by the handle Old Soul Made New on Instagram, and her real name is Olivia Gravengard. She turned pro last year by winning the overall at Junior USA's. And she's a genuine blue-collar athlete who works as a nurse in addition to competing. The fact that she was able to find time to compete last year with everything going on speaks volumes to her work ethic. And initially I wasn't sure her structure would be good enough going by her off-season pics, but her limbs have such good size and shape to them that she forms a pretty good hourglass when dieted down. And the separation she gets in her quads is pretty nutty, plus her back has an outstanding shape and V-taper to it as well. And she has one of those builds that the longer you look at it, the more impressive it becomes. I'm going to guess that she'll need a little more time to prep than some of the others, so it's anyone's guess whether she manages to compete this year, but she certainly has the willpower to make it happen. The last figure athlete I wanted to cover goes by the name Connie Orange on Instagram. She has a pretty popular social media already and is sponsored by Dragon Pharma, who is usually pretty dialed in as to who's marketable. I believe you pronounce her last name Sliziut, but I could be wrong. I find it odd that the Brit on this list has the trickiest name to pronounce. And I believe she resides in London and has a pretty unique background for bodybuilding. She is a talented violinist with a master's degree in music, which could actually complement her posing routines. And her structure is unique in a sense as well. She has long, lean legs that tend to take a while to fill out, but she has found a way to do so at a young age. She turned pro in figure, but could also do well in wellness if she chose to go that route. I'm not sure what she has a higher ceiling for. She has very good long insertions for that elegant figure silhouette, but is also a tad bottom heavy, which would be good for wellness. But either way, she's definitely one to watch in this sport. Before I get to my physique picks, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Caroline Marquez. She doesn't plan on competing in the pro ranks, even though she stays pretty close to contest ready year round. She did her first two shows late last year and managed to turn pro at the NPC Nationals, although her upper body wasn't enough to win the overall. So regardless of whether she returns to the stage, she would probably need to bring that up. And the reason I wanted to mention her is because you don't really see quads with this shape, separation, and size come around very often. So in a sense it's kind of a shame, but competing isn't the end-all be-all a lot of people make it out to be. So good luck to her, and kudos to her for doing what makes her happy. If you were wondering why the aforementioned Caroline didn't win the overall at Nationals, you're now looking at it. I had seen pictures of Angela Yeo before she dominated the stage last year, so I can't say I was surprised. This is someone who is short but dense from a strong background in powerlifting. It looks like she's a protege of the notorious Westside Barbell in Ohio, and I found that powerlifting is often the best way bodybuilders can compensate for a suboptimal bone structure, but she isn't in that camp and seems to be gifted for either discipline. If she plays her cards right, she could become one of the icons of the division. She has a unique gothic look that allows her to stand out and grab your attention. Plus, she seems to be a pretty down-to-earth person as well. And I'm not entirely sure I placed her in the division she's going to compete in. She's poised to do either physique or the open, and in a recent interview she suggested that she's leaning towards moving up. I think she'd do a little better there initially because there's a little more room for error in conditioning when she doesn't seem to have enough shows under her belt to nail it 100% of the time. But her physique should be malleable enough for either path. She's just got to nail that conditioning and bring in a package the judges favor. So the open is going to be hard to gauge because the majority of girls matriculating into it are physique girls hitting the ceiling rather than newly crowned pros. So undoubtedly there will be girls that make a name for themselves that way. But a rookie I see making an enormous impact is Anastasia Leonova. Hailing from Russia, she turned pro in physique late last year, and her coach recently announced that she's making her pro debut in the Open later this year, which I feel is a great call. She is very, very short, and I feel that could prevent her from bringing enough shape to do well in physique. But it will be an entirely different matter in the Open. Thickness should come very natural to her, and if she isn't big enough right now, I don't think it'll take long for her to get there. And she is still relatively young, which gives her an enormous window going forward. So those are my picks for the rookies most likely to make a dent in the 2021 IFBB season. I apologize for not picking someone for fitness, but it doesn't seem that the NPC is giving many pro cards for it these days, plus the routines aren't posted online either. I'm not sure the deal there is it's kind of a nice break as it's the most lively competition. In the meantime, I have perhaps the most flexibility for new videos since there aren't any big contests going on right now, so if anyone has any requests, I'm all ears. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ding that little bell, and as always, good luck, stay safe, and thanks for watching.